Well, good evening, everyone. You're listening to myself, Tamer Curved, otherwise known as Ivan Delport. You're joining me this evening on the Talk of the Devil Main League Round 11 at Hungary for the qualifying. I've just seen that we have 19 drivers within the lobby tonight, so it should be quite an interesting one. Really cool that we have almost full grid this evening. So let's see what's going to happen over the course of the events happening. Once again, as commentator, I don't have exactly what the weather would be. So if there are a few of the guys listening, please send through. Fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. Just making sure that everything is working up as it should be, or as it should be. Right, so once again, we've got myself commentating on the main league, my fellow commentators, Willem, Maria, and Kenzie. They are on leave for the time being. So, we've got the racing point out on his lap, or out lap at the moment. As you can see, everybody is out, or most of them are going on their out laps. So it'll be interesting to see what the first times posted would be. Okay, as we do this lap on board. So coming down to the first corner, nice and gently through the apex. DRS open as quick as possible. Now down to corner 3. Now this is a banked corner. As you can see, it comes down to the left. Really easy to go run wide. Keeps it nice and neat through. Little bit from the apex, riding the curb. The tricky corner. Oh, it's so easy to get this section wrong. Looking smooth and following the line there into the chicane right at the top of the track. Smooth, riding both curbs very well. Hitting it into fourth, into fifth. Sweeping corners now, sticking to the left hand side of the road. Cruising through, sweeping right now, hard on the brake. And a short burst into the long left-hander. Got to be patient. Enough, a lat on the floor. DRS is open coming through. And Mechanical Sack does a 1 minute 18.02, putting him in provisional pole at the moment. Very interesting there. Very good lap. So it is Racing Point in first. The Alpha of JBL or JBL in second. Oh, and as I say, that Callum in the Ferrari does a 1:17.25. Is that setting the bar tonight? He is joined by his teammate. We've already got Mac Dixon, who seems to be out. Don't know if that would be part of a penalty. Kieran popping in there into second place, splitting the two Ferraris with a 1:17.288. And then Gary Braddon sitting in third with a 1:17.4. So just to see that gap between the top three. So let's just quickly take a look at this order. Right in the beginning of the first runs in Quali 1. It's a Ferrari, Red Bull, Ferrari, Racing Point, the Alpha of JBL, the Renault, McLaren. We've got Anthony Waddington in the Williams in ninth with a 1:23. We've also got the Sister McLaren in 11th. Well, now 11th. Kyle Keegan popping his Alpha into 7th place there with a 1:19.1. We still have yet to see a time posted by the two Mercedes drivers. So at the moment we've got Stephen out on track. Looking smooth through the final corner. DRS is open. Try keep to the line again. It comes into a third position. The 1:17.323. But if that was his warm-up lap, that is a pretty good lap, I must say. We'll stay on board as we'll keep a look. That's definitely cool down. Who have we got out on track? We've got Kyle. He's done a 1:23, but his DRS is open, so we'll watch him as he comes into his lap. Clipping out nicely, just seeing a little bit of the dust coming off as Kyle takes it to the ragged edge, swings it into that left-hander. Nice and smooth, close to the curb. Beautiful shot of the chicane there. It's such a deceiving shot though, if you look at it. Coming up towards the end of sector 2. How's his time looking? He's up on his time by 3/10. open up. You can see the DRS opens as soon as he comes around that bend. And he goes half a second up, pushing a 1:18.6 with that lap. So he's definitely kept himself within the top 10. At the moment, in the bottom, we've got... we've got John Taylor in 8th position at the moment, with his teammate in the sister Renault, Jorge, in 12th. But the bottom 5 will be, well, the bottom 4 will be then disqualified from, or not disqualified, but not make it through to round 2. So going from the bottom up, we've got Michael Booker, we've got Gareth, we've got Matt Dixon in 17th, and the... Is that the Red Bull of Caesar? Caesar still hasn't posted a time. Is he waiting for the track to really rubber in? He is on an outlap. Let's spectate on that outlap. You can see he's on... We do still have 7 minutes, so you can still technically pull it in, change his set of tires and go for it, or he could be doing a double shot, or like 2 flying laps. Caesar out on his lap. Coming through on the inside. Looking really nice and tight there. DRS is open. Can he push it? Does a 1:17.829. That puts him in 6th place. Right behind the 2 Mercedes drivers, sitting in 4th and 5th respectively. But both of them are look on my screen as they're on an outlap. So we'll just take a look at the standings at the moment. So it's Callum Harrod in 1st place with a 1:17.2. We've got Gary Brad and his teammate also with a 1:17.228. We've got Kieran with a 1:17.32 in 3rd. Good evening, Hoonigan. If you can hear me, I am currently commentating on a fellow league. If you'd like to join commentary, or you're more than welcome. All right, thanks, man. Enjoy this evening. Sorry for that, ladies and gents. Right. So we've got the two Ferraris at the top in first and second. We've got a Red Bull splitting the Ferrari and the Mercedes feud at the moment, or battle, or rivalry, whatever you'd like to call it. So we've got a Red Bull in third. Then we've got the two Mercedes drivers in fourth and fifth. Then we've got Caesar rounding off the top six with the sister Red Bull. Mechanical Sack in seventh. Anthony Waddington in eighth. Jarbe Liu in ninth. And Kyle Keegan in 10th. So we've got Matt Dixon and is that just double checking my documents here quickly. Is that Lee? Must be Lee. So that's definitely Lee in 18th. We've got Michael Booker in 17th. Gareth in 16th. And right in the bubble is the Renault of Jorge in 15th. So we've got a minute going. Joe Newman in 14th. He's sector one time. Looks, he's up on it. He's up by 0.28 of a second. Coming up to the top of the circuit with the chicanes. Oh, and he cuts across. That'll force him to have to abandon that lap. He's on the board here with Jorge. DRS is wide open. Comes across the line, does a 1:18.5, improves on his time. That pushes him into 10th place. Now that is Joe Newman right on the bubble there. Can Gareth pull out a stopper in the Toro Rosso? Catch him as he's into sector 2. He's coming up to the top of the circuit into the chicane. A famous chicane. A lot of action happening there during the years of Formula 1. I mean, the circuit has been part of the calendar for probably close on 2 decades. Coming around the last corner in sector. Oh, and he pulls in. He pulls into the pits. So he will definitely not be making it through to quali 2. So that is qualifying done. And so we've got Matt Dixon, Lee Evans, Michael Booker, and Gareth not making it through to the top 15 to the second round of qualifying. So it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, if you look at it, top 6 within the 117 mark. Callum and Gary. I mean, just look at that. It's between Gary and Kieran is 2 thousandths of a second. It's 2 thousandths of a second. Look at that time. So we've got Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, Red Bull, Racing Point, Williams, Alpha, and the two Alphas and the Renault. No, Alpha and Renault rounding the top 10, and the bottom four drivers: Gareth, Michael Booker, Lee Evans, and Matt Dixon. Not making it through the second round of quali. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us, you're listening to myself, Tamer Curved. So this is the main league, Talk of the Devil main league, round 11, Hungary. Let me just double check that. I don't want to lie to you guys. Yeah, definitely round 11 in Hungary. And we've already got a driver out in 10th. Very interesting. Who will be the first driver to come out? It looks as if it is one of the Red Bulls. It is Kieran. Oh, and the two McLarens beat him. So officially first on the track is James. So we will then watch the McLaren of James as he's going through on his warm-up lap. As actually, sorry, I'm a little bit biased when it comes to McLaren, but I'm a huge McLaren fan, and it's just such a car, man. It's just picturesque. That shot with the two McLarens, there you go, coming through. It's just something awesome to watch. Warming up the tires there, you can see him weaving across, trying to get as much temperature in those tires to keep them at that working temperature. So out we've got Mechanical Sack, Gary Braddon and then Ferrari, both McLarens, Caesar in the Red Bull, Joe Newman in the Toro, the only surviving Toro Rosso, to get through to round 2 or quali 2. And you've got the two Alfa Romeos also making it through. Ferrari Motors just giving that extra boost, working well. So as he starts his flying lap, his first sector is a 1:27.5. Remember, being out on the track first, you're the guy that sets the benchmark. Coming into towards the sweeping right, left, right combination. And his sector 2 is a 57. 57. We've got Mechanical Sack actually being the first one on track with a 1:17.79. So that is the benchmark set. 1:17, 1:18, 1:19, 1:19.5. And the sister McLaren doing a 1:19.3. I don't know if that's going to be enough to send the two McLaren drivers into Q3. Let's go on board with Gary Braden. A nice view shot there from above. What the drivers would use. And he comes across the line with a 1:16.78. Where did Gary Braden? He's basically just over a second faster than Mechanical Sack at the moment. That Ferrari motor powering him through. Really good setup. A 1:16.7. Do the Mercedes drivers have anything to say about that? It's going to be really interesting to see. So, Joe Newman setting a 1:18.4, putting him in third at the moment. Wow, that lap, a 1:16.7. Callum in the sister Ferrari. He's on his outlap. His teammate is posting a 1:16.783. So we know that Ferrari's got pace. And it being such a, the Ferrari's got the straight line speed. It's a corner. It's a track known for its heavy braking and aerodynamics. Callum starts his flying lap, coming around turn 3, looking nice and smooth, bringing it on the inside of the track so he can go out. Coming towards the end of Sector 1 with a 1:27.3. Sector 2, long right-hander, hard on the brakes for the chicane. Coming towards the end of Sector 2. Swing, keep it to the left. Very nice and smooth through the apex with a 54.7. Now it's just to smash Sector 3. Let it run out a little bit so you can come in. Then you let it run wide. DRS is open. Callum comes in with a 1:16.756. Just popping his teammate. Oh my word. These Ferraris have pace. I mean, if you look at it, we've got Stephen in third place in the Mercedes-Benz with a 1:16.8. But those Ferraris, they must have those cars set up so nicely. Got Caesar going out on the mediums. We've got Kieran, so that's definitely a management call there by the team for the two Red Bull drivers to go out on the mediums. This being qualifying 2, ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder that the drivers that set the tires that the drivers set their fastest times on, those are the tires they will then use for the start of the race. Right, so if you look at it, there's only one team that's going out on the mediums, and that's the Red Bulls. So they're going for the longest stints. So Caesar, DRS wide open. Coming down towards turn 3. Coming towards the end of Sector 1. And he's down on his time. Or he's up on his time by 2 seconds. So he won't be improving. So the two Ferrari drivers setting the pace there in first and second. Gary Braden is out. Take a look at his sector 2 time. He's plus 0.2 up on his time. Gary Braden is pulling into the pits. So let's just run down that order. We have the two Ferraris, Callum, Gary Braden. We've got the two Mercedes-Benz with Stephen and his brother. And his brother Dean. We've got Mechanical Sack. We've got Kieran, Caesar, Joe James, Kyle Keegan in 10th, and being threatened to being knocked out of the second round at the moment. We have Kyle Keegan out in 11th. It is coming up for their final runs. We've got Jorge. No, I'm lying. Panagliotis in 13th. Jorge in 13th. Panagliotis in 12th. And then JBL, who hasn't set time. He is on his outlap lap. This is going to be interesting. He's in the pits. It's going to be interesting. So we've got the two Red Bulls out. They've now both switched over to the softer tyre. We'll stay on board with Kieran. Loving the way his helmet design fits in with the look of the car. You know, he's got that predominantly yellow helmet with the blue and yellow stripes flowing towards the back of it. It all just looks good from a spectator's view. Color coordinated very well. So he starts his flying lap. DRS is open, coming to turn 1. Flat out DRS, turn 2. You ignore. Oh, and we've got an incident there with JBL. JBL is out of the session. Would that have interfered with Kieran's lap? No, he's up on his time. He's down on his time by half a second. Not phased at all. I wonder what happened there to JBL. So we've got the Renault in front of Kieran at the moment. Will he play a factor in this in Kieran's flying lap? Sweeping over. Coming hard in the brakes. Third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear. Then you get back down to second. Keep it smooth, keep it tight. Put on the power early. Fourth, fifth. Down to fourth. Hold it in fourth. Comes around. Can he get a slipstream from the Renault? He comes through and he does a 1:16.852. A second and a second point 3 up on his time, putting him in fourth, splitting to the two Mercedes drivers. Caesar comes through and puts himself into fifth. So Dean in sixth place at the moment. The two Ferraris still holding the top spot at the moment. Stephen in third, Kieran in fourth, Caesar in fifth, Dean in sixth, Mechanical Sack in seventh, Newman in eighth, Joe Newman. We've got Anthony once again putting the Williams in the top 10 in ninth. And we've got James in the McLaren in 10th place. We've got Kyle just coming through to start his flying lap. We've got less than a minute to go. So at in the bottom 5, we've got Kyle, we've got Panagliotis, Jorge, John Taylor, and JBL, as we saw while we were spectating with Kieran, out with some sort of collision with the wall. I mean, his wheel was off. So that'll be quite interesting to see what's... just checking on the chats, seeing what happened. Let's see if we can get a comment from the driver himself. Right, so that is the end of Q2. Everybody's on these softs. So Kyle coming through, putting himself in 8th place. That puts James down in 11th. Kyle on the bubble. We've got the Renault coming through of Jorge. It's his last chance. He's plus 0.002 seconds. Smoothly through the penultimate corner, turn 13, then turn 14. DRS is open. 1:19.2. Doesn't improve on his time. That still keeps him in the bottom 5. So at the end of Q2 in round 11, at Hungary, we've got the 2 Ferraris in the top 2 with Callum and Gary. We've got Stephen in 3rd, Kieran in 4th, Caesar in 5th, Dean in 6th, Mechanical 7th, Kyle Keegan in 8th, Joe Newman in 9th, and Anthony Waddington rounding up the top 10. And that is James, Panagliotis, Jorge, John Taylor, and JBL out in the second round of Q2. So it is now the shootout within the top 10. What will the Ferraris bring? Will they be improving on their time? It's a tough fight between Gary and his teammate Callum coming through on a surprising transfer from the McLaren team. So on the comments within the chat, JBL says he actually has no idea what's happened. Stephen and Kieran also, the timing between those guys. So we've got one of the alphas out. We've got Kyle out, the first one to go out. You can see him already just weaving across, putting some heat into those tires. So coming into the left hand of turn 3. Once again, it's a bank corner, very easy to drift the car out wide. Then turn 4, going up the hill. That's actually turn 6 or 5 or 6, which is a sweeping corner. Quite a difficult one because it's a blind corner, and it's quite a fast corner. So you want to cut that. Then the chicane of 7 and 8. Then it's 9 and 10. No hard on the brakes. For corner 12, then it's right. As he starts his lap, DRS is open. We'll get some info on the board here. comes out of corner 2, corner 1. DRS is open. You ignore corner 2. It's flat out. Hard on the brakes for corner 3. Watching your breakdown. He goes down to second gear. 5th, 6th. Flat out. Coming up to the top of the hill. Coming towards the hill. Clips a curb on the outside. Clips nicely on the apex on the blind corner. Watching himself on the corner. On that corner, right hand corner, up into the top of the circuit, hitting the chicane. 9, 10, looking really good there. 11, coming down to corner 12. Now hitting corner 13, which gives that horseshoe effect into quarter 14, which is pretty much the same. Keeping it close to the curb, riding the curb on the way out, comes in with a 1:18.3, and the times will be coming through. Next will be across the line will be Caesar with a 1:17.3. We've got Callum in the Ferrari. Gary Braddon putting a 1:17.1. That puts him in provisional. Oh, that's Kieran. Sorry. Kieran then puts a 1:17.12, putting him on provisional pole. Callum comes through. He does a 1:21.0. He's probably doing that flying lap now. So we've got Kieran in the Red Bull with a 1:17.1. Gary sitting in second with a 1:17.2. Mechanical Sack doing 1:17.3. Caesar with his 1:17.39. Kyle with his in 5th place with a 1:18.3. Callum, who's next on the track, we've got Stephen going out of the pits right now. Anthony Warrington also hasn't gone out for a flying lap. So we'll stay on board with Callum as he comes down from 11 into 12, hard on the brakes, down to 120 k's an hour, up to 5th gear, 3rd, keeping it nice and smooth into corner 14. Early on the power, riding the curb, DRS is open, coming through and putting himself into 1st place with a 1:16.555. Setting the bar there. My word, Callum is on a roll for Ferrari. This will definitely push the hunt for the Ferrari team to try and at least bring down that gap that Mercedes have within the league. Talking about, let's just see who else we have out on track. Let's get on with Dean. DRS is open. He's now just going to start his flying lap. Hard on the brakes. Down to 3rd gear. Hitting about the 90 k an hour mark there. You're looking at about 70 miles an hour. No, I'm lying. That's about 55 miles an hour. So the constructors at the moment, we've got Mercedes leading the points with 350. Ferrari with a 195, and Red Bull with a 154. McLaren edging out Racing Point with 88 points, having a decent result in the previous race in Germany. And across the line, Dean comes in with a 116.6. That puts him in provisional. That puts him into second at the moment. Stephen coming into the pits. Must have had a bit of a incident. Putting him into the pits, so he will definitely go out for a late run. We've got yellow flags in sector. Oh, and we've got the Mercedes of Dean having a bit of an issue and spinning and definitely knocking his front wing. Luckily, he hit the wall with the front wing, getting out of the way for Caesar. Would that have interfered with his lap? Coming into sector 2, he is 7/10 up. 700s? 10s? Must be 10s. He's pulling in. Right, so we've got Callum with a 116.5. Dean, who just luckily spun it after his flying lap, in second. We've got Kieran going out for another run. Gary Braden coming across the line with a 116.7. So that puts him into third place. Sector 3, we've got Kieran up on his time. 0.61 was it up on his time. And he comes through and he does a 116.98. That puts him into fourth place. We've got Anthony Wellington coming, and he's now just started his first flying lap. Leaving it late, waiting for that track to be rubbered in. So, I'm just taking a look at the chat on the comments on the group, and it looks as if we're going to have a wet race. So this is very interesting. Ferrari's running into the 116s with one of the Red Bulls in the 116, running quite fast. So Kyle, I think it's one of the Alphas. They might be running wet setups. So quite a few people should be running wet setups. This is going to be quite interesting. I mean, Hungary in the wet. It's such a tricky track. It's so technical, and now you've got it in the wet. If you don't have the right downforce, so Anthony comes across the line with a 118.4. That puts him into 8th place. Stephen coming around the final bend. DRS is open. What does he pull out? It's a 116.20. What? A 116.207. Putting himself in pole. Oh my greatness. We've got Callum. He's going to be doing a very late run. Can he now improve on his time with Steven doing a 116.2? So we've got Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, Point Racing, your mechanical stack really doing well, putting their Point Racing in 6th place there. Having a really good showing. Callum coming out. What does he do? He's up. He's down on his time by 0.44. Sector 2. Clipping the sausage curb on the left-hander as you're coming out of the chicane. Riding some of the curb out. Keeping it left. Looking smooth on the apexes. He's 200s up, two tenths or 200s up. We've got Kyle Keegan who's out. I wonder what happened there. Turn 13, turn 14. Can he keep it nice and smooth through here? Taking it wide so you can take a nice inside line early on the power. DRS is open. And it does a 1:16.068. 400s up on his time. Putting him in first place. So the top 10 runners in order is Callum, Stephen, Dean, Gary, Kieran, Mechanical Sack, Caesar, Kyle, Anthony, and Joe Newman, putting their Toro Rosso in 10th place, but not setting a time. Well, that was a very interesting quality session. The Ferraris definitely of Callum coming through with the odds of a 1:16.0. That's 100th faster. I mean, the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all within a second of one another. Wow. That's Mechanical Sack putting that point racing in 6. It's a really good job there by that young driver. Wow. That's Mechanical Sack putting that. Right, ladies and gentlemen. I will be doing the race intro, and then we will be commentating on what we see on the screens at the moment. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're once again listening to myself, Tamer Curved, Ivan Dalport. You are viewing the Talk the Devil Main League round 11 or round 11 of the Talk of the Devil League in Hungary. You can see that we're going to be having a wet race. So, Hungary, nicknamed the City of Baths, Budapest, boasts around 450 public spas and bathhouses. Home to the world's first official wine region, dating back to the 5th century. The track is 2.7 miles long with 2 DRS zones, one down the main straight and one after the first corner. 14 corners all in total. We've got 7 to the right and 6 or 7 to the left. Action zones to be looking out for. Turn 1 in 1986, Senna versus Nelson Piquet. Turn 2, 2018, Valtteri Bottas versus Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari. And turn 12 in 2011, Lewis Hamilton versus Mark Webber in the that would have been with the Red Bulls. I'm pretty sure about that. Tire selections that we have, although that doesn't really make much of a difference if we're having a wet race. The tire selections would be the C4, the soft, the C3, the medium, and the C2, the hard. You're looking at a pit stop of round about 21 seconds. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, it is going to be a wet race with us. You're listening to myself, Ivan Dalport, also known as Tamer Curved. My fellow colleagues, commentators, Kenzie Retro and Willem Marais could not be joining me tonight. And we've also had the Talk the Devil Elite League run over this period of time, which was commentated by Ben, also one of the managers for the Talk of the Devil League, him managing Renault and Ferrari. Okay. So we've got Callum's uncle on the chat, um, giving his nephew support. The Ferrari driver putting himself in first place with a brilliant lap of a 1:16.0. He's been quite active on the race chats over the last couple of weeks. Thank you for joining us. To everybody that is watching the stream, you are watching the Hungarian race of the Talk of the Devil, with quite an interesting battle between the Mercedes drivers and the Ferrari drivers at the top. Not to mention you've got Kieran in the end, the Red Bull. It's what a shootout we've just had. So I was talking about the constructors at the moment earlier in the qualifying. So just to round up, it is the Mercedes-Benz, Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren, Racing Point taking the top 5, and then we've got Alfa with 61, Williams with 60, Renault in 8th place with 26th, Toro Rosso with 23, and Haas with 5. So it's quite an interesting battle there between Renault and the Toro Rossos. The Alfa and Williams split by 1 point. Anthony Waddington really giving Renault the boost there. The Williams a boost. And McLaren edging ahead of Racing Point in the last race. But the top 3, Merc, Ferrari and Red Bull, as you'd expect. But the racing's been quite close over the last few races. Going to be an interesting one now with the rain. I mean, with the times that were being posted, have these drivers now? There's only certain things you can change between the end of qualifying and the start of the race because of Parc Fermé rules. But as I see on the screen, drivers have now readied up. So in a couple of seconds, it'll be race day for Talk of the Devil in Hungary. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stream. Hope you enjoy the race as much as I do. 1, 2, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and it's away we go. Oh, and it's a bad start there by Callum, sliding across the line. Very good start there by Stephen. Callum and Stephen challenging Stephen on the inside. Stephen taking first position. Callum coming back around. He's grabbing the inside. Now he's on the outside coming to turn 3. Really good battle between the two. And Callum easily taking first place. Then you've got the two Mercedes-Benz drivers having to fall into the line with one another. So, this is so much happening. Right, so we've got Ferrari, Mercedes, Kieran coming into fourth, overtaking Gary in that starting sequence. We've got Anthony up into 6th. Kyle Keegan right on the back of that gearbox of the Williams. We've got Caesar in 8th, Jorge in 9th, James in 10th. James going very wide in the top of the hill there. And we've got an incident. We've got one of the Mercedes drivers of... Is that Dean? That is definitely Dean right at the bottom. As we'll go back up to the top here just to take a look at the drivers. What is happening at the top here? So... And we've got an incident between the Red Bull and a Ferrari. The Ferrari of Gary Braddon and what looks to be the Red Bull of... That's right at there. So, at the end of the first lap, we've got Callum in first, Stephen in second, Kieran in third, Kyle in fourth, Panagliotis up into fifth place, Joe Newman in sixth, Anthony Waddington coming to the pits. Could be, we've got JBL coming, we've got Gary Braddon, we've got Anthony, we've got James, all coming. So Joe Newman up in sixth, Mechanical Sack and Joe Newman. Joe Newman up into fifth. And now we have... let's just keep to the action. As it looks... Right. Let me just get back on track here. So much happening, especially with the wet weather. So it's Ferrari first, Mercedes second, Red Bull third, Alpha fourth, McLaren fifth, Joe Newman in sixth with the Toro Rosso, Mechanical Sack in seventh with their point racing or racing point, Darby Lou in eighth, Alpha, Matt Dixon up into ninth. Wow, Matt Dixon up into ninth place. Him having a really good start there, up 10 places. Caesar losing 10 places. So we'll get back to the top here. As you know, it is a wet race, so there will be no DRS. So it's all about the drivers and managing that fuel. You can see that Stephen is still keeping within that second as we're on lap 3. And we go down here to the fight between Mechanical Sack and Joe Newman. Jorge up into 13th with his sister, well, with his teammate in the sister Alpha, in the sister Renault, right behind him, right on the back of that Toro. Takes a bit of a look down into corner 12. No, that's the top there. That's the chicane. Riding down on the inside. Could have given him a better run. He's right at the back, and you've got JBL watching this all happen in front of him. Turn 12. Look at that point racing's right behind the Toro Rosso of Joe Newman. Now comes the main straight. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it is raining. They got Joe Newman goes to the left, goes to the right. Now has to go back left. And Mechanical Sack on the inside. He makes the overtake coming into corner 1. There is no DRS because this is a wet race. So now it's Joe Newman who has been relegated down to 7th with that overtake. We've got action happening down further in the field with his sister point racing. And the two Renaults getting past him. Matt Dixon up into 9th now. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to my very discombobulated commentary at the moment, we've got Callum in first place. We've got Stephen in second. Kieran in third. Kyle in fourth, doing very well there for Alpha. We've got Panagliotis in fifth in the McLaren. Mechanical sack up into 6th place with a wonderful overtake on Joe Newman coming into the first corner. We've got Joe Newman in 7th. Jabe Lu in 8th. He's right at the back of Joe Newman there as well. Ooh, running very wide there in turn 13. You can see that car not having as much front end downforce as you would like. But he is within a second. He should get a bit of a decent tow coming down. We know JBL is very late on the brakes. If you were listening to the stream of the knockout session that happened on Wednesday, I think it was one of the drivers that turned around and said, JBL, just brake late. We've given him that acronym. So Dean coming up into 9th place. So he's just taken Matt Dixon for 9th. So he's working his way up in the field as he did last week. Matt Dixon in 10th in the Haas. Oh, going over the chicane there. We've got Glamborn Gareth. He's right behind Matt Dixon right now. This is for the bottom points. JBL is now within half a second of Joe Newman. Coming to turn 13. Mechanical Sacks definitely pulled away a nice little gap there. Up to 3 seconds on Joe Newman. Keeping it patient on the power, gentle on the power. You don't want to give too much as you could spin the wheels. Beautiful shot from this, what the driver would kind of see through the halo. Gary Brannon working his way up. He's now up into 14th place. Taking 15th from Anthony Waddington. Also having to come in on the first lap. So the two of them going to be working their way up along with Caesar. It could be a good 3 train going up the rankings. Gary Brandon coming on the inside of the Renault of John Taylor. Being very late. Anthony Waddington taking the opportunity as well as Caesar going through also on turn 3. That Renault dropping down the order, putting him down in 16th at the moment for John Taylor. And Caesar is taking opportunity, taking 14th from Anthony. This 3-car train working their way up the field. Next driver on Gary Braddon's list is the Renault, which is 4 seconds up the road. JBL still within half a second of Joe Newman. If I'm looking at the timing sheets, you know, there's actually the Ferrari of Callum isn't really running away with the race as what I would expect him to do. However, from a dry qualifying session to a wet race, you know, your setup is differently. Will the race be drying up? That would be the interesting part. Jorge and Gary going up. Who's in the pits? Matt Dixon is in the pits. Matt Dixon is coming into the pits. He is now, I'm sure, out on the intermediate. So it is drying up. Matt Dixon, first one going on the inters. So it is looking like it is clearing up. Not so much as much rain on showing up on my screen. Could this work into Matt Dixon's favor? Matt, Matt Dixon is really on a flyer if you have to look at his times. And everybody seems to be coming into the pits. So we've got Mechanical Sack, we've got Joe Newman, JBL, and Dean all coming into the pits at the same time. It is going to be a pit stop race. It's a change of a wing for Dean. Who will be the first one out? So Gareth now. So Mechanical out in 6th place. Gareth splitting Joe Newman. And Mechanical. JBL and Newman still fighting for 8th and 9th. Dean losing out to a position there to Anthony Waddington. However, the track is drying up and he is on the inters. Matt Dixon up into 12th. We've got Renault coming out of the pits. We've got Jamie coming out of the pits. And we've got the Racing Point coming out of the pits. We've got the top 2 coming in. Callum coming in. The Ferrari driver. Bit of a slower pit stop there by the Ferrari driver, Ferrari pit crew. So we've got Callum going out. We've got Steam going out on the inters. Kieran out on the inters. Kyle's coming in now to do a tyre change. With so everybody basically racing one another, coming in pairs and keeping that race alive. Mechanical Sack pushing it. Does he come out in front of the McLaren? Yes, he does. So that puts him up into 5th place. Although, by the looks of it, we've got the McLaren out on wets. McLaren went out on wet. Could that be a ploy? Could it be raining again? There's some rain coming up on the screen. But everybody's out on the inters. Everybody else is on the inters. That's a very interesting play there. Even Anthony has decided to stay out on the wet. Dean up now on Anthony Waddington, now up into 9th position. And 5 seconds up the road, we still have this battle between Joe Newman and JBL. Gary Braden up into 12th place. James taking position there from John Taylor. So 2 drivers staying out on the wet tyres. So that leads me to believe the rain would be coming back. As we watch on board now, Mechanical Sack on a flyer doing a 1:35.44. He's got the fastest lap at the moment. Pulling that gap out on the McLaren. He's chasing down 4th place, which at the moment is Kyle. Doing very well with 4th place for Kyle there for the Alfa Romeo. As we're watching it, Gary Braden doing a 1:35.0. Gary Braden on a flyer. Sees it, and Anthony having a good battle as well. Anthony Waddington coming out of the pits. He's now gone on to the inters. Gary Braden can Everybody can see the Haas of Matt Dixon sitting in 10th place. And back we go. Back we go to this fight. Callum doing a 1:34.2. Ferraris have pace on at the moment with these inters. So the only person now on the wet tyre is Panagliotis in the McLaren. I see this gap is starting to stretch out. Joe Newman's setup. Oh, Joe Newman going very wide there in the last corner 14. Still struggling with front end grip. Getting a good runner out of corner 1. Pulling that gap to 1.2 seconds just in that first 2 corners. He's now got that car on full pelt. He's definitely trying to open that gap. Gary Braden overtaking Matt Dixon for 10th place. He's now in the points. Beautiful aerial shots here from the helicopter. Anthony Waddington up into 13th. Chasing down Caesar in 12th. So on lap 12, and Caleb doing a 1:33.8. He's definitely starting to push that Ferrari, opening that gap up to 4.5 seconds. He's flying. He is flying. He's trying to open a gap on the Mercedes driver of Steven, showing that he's here to fight against his ex-teammate. He's also showing the Mercedes team a driver that they've essentially given up. Could have been a career move for Callum to have gone to McLaren for those first couple of races under McLaren name, and then Gary Braden coming in with a 1:33.5, fastest lap at the moment. So the Ferraris are definitely getting their pace, which means the track could be drying up. Matt Dixon and Caesar having a battle. Caesar taking Matt Dixon on the inside as we catch the tail end of that. Matt Dixon going very wide. Nice, good to keep control of that, because you could see his car went onto the grass. They would have just secured that place for Caesar, as Caesar is trying to catch Gary Braden. Dean take... Oh, and there's a battle going on here with the McLaren staying on the wet. That has now allowed him to be a guinea pig, sitting in 6th. Oh! JBL having to brake very late there, doing evasive driving. Ooh, I'll stay on board here. The mechanical sack taking Kyle. Oh, Dean running very wide. That'll give JBL. Oh, and the McLaren having contact with the wall. JBL taking a look on the inside. Oh, might be contact between the two drivers. Dean keeping it cool. So Panagliotis having slid off of the road and having contact with the wall has given himself wing damage. On a wet Hungary, it's got to slow him really down. That'll give Gary Braden some time to catch up to him. That'll give Gary Braden guaranteed 9th. And Caesar into the points. Oh, and there's contact. There's contact between Gary Braden and the McLaren. That's giving Gary Braden wing damage. So Caesar up into 9th. Matt Dixon up into 10th. Gary Braden finally gets going as we watch the McLaren crawling around. Anthony Waddington coming past him. So this will definitely send the McLaren driver right down to the back of the grid. Not a good race there for the McLaren driver, and poor Gary Braddon having a first lap incident, having to come in, doing a really good job of coming back for the fight into the points, and then having contact with the Renault. Get back to this chain. No train here. Dean taking a look at the back of the Toro Rosso of Joe Newman. As we can see, Panagliotis falling down the grid order. Gary falling down. Gareth up into 12th place. Joe Newman's setup is working for him. He's in the points. He's yes, okay. He's lost. He's down. He's up 4 places. And we've got Dean taking a look on the inside, coming up to the chicane, forcing Joe Newman over the chicane, over the sausage curb. That allows JBL to come behind them. JBL looks like he's hanging back, watching this unfold. Dean coming back down into T12, forcing his way on the inside, taking that position. Joe Newman now having to defend against JBL. Now that Mercedes is going to have to open taps. Kyle right on the back of Mechanical, fighting for 4th and 5th. I'll stay aboard JBL. JBL's right behind that Toro Rosso. Takes a bit of a look, decides no. Will he get a better run out of turn 2? No, it doesn't look like he'll be doing him. He could be. He's low on ERS, Joe Newman. So JBL could take a run up the hill here. JBL go very wide. So we'll move on to this battle between Kyle Keegan and Mechanical Sack. I think Kyle Keegan will be taking a look down the main straight. Maybe force the point racing into a mistake. If he can get right on the back of that car, he'll get a really good tow. That wet setup working well for the Alpha. And Mechanical just seems to have that straight line pace. That straight line pace on that point racing vehicle, or point racing car, or racing point is actually quite amazing. Go down back to this battle with the sister Alpha, with JBL and Joe Newman. It's been like the JBL's been behind Joe Newman for basically 16 laps so far, and it's just seems as if JBL can't find his way past Joe. I mean, Joe doing a wonderful job making that Toro Rosso as wide as possible and not giving him the space to try and sneak a move. Further down the road, we've got Anthony Waddington right at the back of Matt Dixon. Anthony looking, he's taking a dive down, comfortably taking that position, but Matt Dixon's coming back. Oh, and Matt Dixon going wide. Anthony coming on the outside for the next corner. Has a really good run coming up to the top of the hill. It's the blind left-hander. Anthony taking it on the left-hander. Matt Dixon is going to be having to fight back as they come to the chicane. And Anthony pulling out a bit of a gap there. Oh, Matt Dixon cutting the corner. Nearly contact there with the Williams driver. That would have cost him in his confidence within the next corner. So that would have given the Position of 10th to Anthony. That was a really good tussle between the Williams and the Haas driver. So Anthony fighting his way back up the ladder. So as it looks on lap 17, we'll go back up to this gap, this battle going on between the Alpha of Kyle, as we see the Racing Point going wide. That would have given Kyle a good 10th, good 100th of a second closer to him. But once again, that point racing has got straight line speed. Can Kyle keep it close enough so he can get that toe down the main straight? Gareth already been lapped. So 13th on lap 18 has been lapped. Once again, that point racing survives the main straight. Everybody on the inters. So let's just take a look at the fastest lap time at the moment. So we've got Gary Braddon having the fastest lap time with a 1:33.5, and he is also outside of the top 10, so that gives him 2 points at the moment for having fastest lap and having fastest laps outside of the top 10. But it is also quite early days within the race. It is 70 laps. So as the fuel loads start going down, the times will start going down. And we have a few drivers coming in for the wet the dry tires. So first to move over to the dry tires is the Mercedes of Stephen, who seems to have Gary Braddon right behind him. This is not for position, but is Gary Braddon just letting him know, like, I'm here? Does look like Stephen is struggling a little bit with the wet tire at the moment. There's a good couple of people. I mean, Dean going on to the hards. He's going to be pushing it for a long stint. Let's just take a look on how many laps drivers can be expecting out of the dry tires or the lifespan. So looking at the C4, the red tire, the soft one, yeah, it is you're looking between 16 and 24 laps. So there are a good couple of there's a 5-second penalty there for Gareth. So now we will definitely see DRS coming into play. Drivers and their setups, they would have had a bit of a lower downforce, will now start getting a little bit more pace. We could see a lot more battling going on, a lot more confidence as we see Kyle coming in. Mechanical going for the undercut. Mechanical's undercut has worked on Kyle. Gary Brennan also going for the hards. So like I was saying, so you're looking at 60 to 24 laps on the softs, 21 to 30 laps on the medium, and then on the hard you're looking at about 46 to 54 laps. So we're 20 laps down, so that's 50 laps. So Gary Braddon and Dean both going for the long stint. Hopefully that'll play off for them, not looking to stop again. However, with the times coming down, I think they might. So on lap 20, we've got a good battle going on here between it's that Caesar coming out of the pits. That puts him in 11th. So JBL once again is still behind Joe Newman. However, Joe Newman is also catching. And we've got fastest laps after fastest laps coming through. Mechanical with a 1:26.9. The track is definitely getting quicker. So one tends to think, is there going to be a Ferrari grabbing that fastest time? Will it be the Mercedes? It could even be Kieran with his Red Bull taking the fastest lap today. John Newman is really behind. DRS is open down to turn 3. Anthony doing a 1:16.8. This is a 3-way battle. Dean on the Dean on the hard tire. So the two drivers behind Dean are on the softer tire, so they will definitely have the pace. But can Dean keep them behind him and make them hurt his tire? Kieran doing with a 1:24.9. Wow, these lap times are dropping, and they are dropping fast. Drive on board with Joe Newman coming to turn 13. Early on the power. Keep it nice and smooth in turn 14 coming through. Yes, power. Now DRS. That is overtake mode. You can see the drag that he's getting, the toe that he's getting down on the inside. Dean's not going to give it up easily. Running Dean wide. He gets his 6th place back from Dean. Anthony Warrington doing a 1:24.866. Now can Dean defend against JBL? Dean still right on the back of that Toro Rosso of Joe. James is also within a second. 1:23 by Stephen. So, like I said earlier, and that's on the medium. That is on the medium tire. And Dean will have DRS. Well, he's within DRS. And then Kyle doing a 1:23.44 with that Alpha. He's on a pushing stint. Being on the soft tire. These guys are just going to bang out these hot laps. Dean with DRS. Following Joe down, looking on the inside, going very wide. Will give him a better run on the trip down to turn 3, side by side as they come into 3. Newman pushes it. Oh, Dean just getting that position. And JBL is falling back. His confidence being knocked a little bit, I suppose, with that incident. And Callum doing a 122. Kyle doing a 121. That is it. That gap is falling. That gap is falling, and it's falling fast. Are we going to have a race on our hands for this middle part of the race? Joe is still behind, and we've got the two Renaults passing Gareth. Joe is on the back end of the Merc as they're coming into the main straight. DRS will be active for Joe, looking through the halo. Kieran in the pits. He's gone onto the soft tyre. He's definitely going to be put again. JBL up into 7th. That gap between Callum and Stephen is at 1.1 seconds. Then 18 seconds down the road is Mechanical Sack in 3rd. He is having a really good race there for the Racing Point. Dean fighting for 5th place with Joe. Stephen once again doing the fastest lap with a 121.3. Matt Dixon up into 10th. Gary in 16th on their hards. As we're spectating here with Joe Newman. Kieran now also, he's going to be fighting these two within the next couple of laps because he is on the younger tyre. It's 6 laps younger than Joe Newman's. However, Dean is on the hard tyre, so he will be having a better tyre span or lifespan. The tyre will go away a little bit and then start coming back as we know that the hard tyre does. It's probably the better tyre for this race, being it's a very technical track. It's very old on tyres. Could this be the fact that the soft tyre is suffering a little bit on Joe Newman's car? That gap there between Callum and Stephen has come down fast. And now it's all about, has the Mercedes got the straight line speed down the main straight to catch that Ferrari of Callum? Or can the Mercedes make it up within the technical part of the circuit? But from this helicopter view, you can see the Ferrari is definitely faster within the technical section. And looks as if Anthony Warrington has passed JBL. JBL is in the pits. He's now got into mediums. He's going to be trying to push through to the end of the race. You can see that toe, that slipstream by the Mercedes, but he's not getting close enough to actually make a move on that Ferrari. The Ferrari straight line speed is just amazing, and Callum keeping his cool, just keeping that Ferrari on the road like it's on rails. You can see JBL in the background there. All the way up into 9th has been lapped It's only lap 27. Gary Brennan having to make 5 pit stops at the moment. And Stephen is a little bit closer this time. Stephen has full ERS. He's going to be taking that move down. He's going to be making that move. It's now or never. DRS. He's got that car on full 11 mode. And that Ferrari still stays ahead. Will Stephen be pushing his ex-teammate into a mistake? Caesar now up into 11th. Stephen is on the gearbox of that Ferrari. Dean managed to open a gap of 1.2, call it 1.8 seconds, 1.9. So it's going for 2 seconds between Dean and Joe Newman. Kieran in 7th. He's 4 seconds behind Joe at the moment. JBL, he is in 8th with JBL is in 9th with Anthony Waddington 8th. Matt Dixon, he's in the last of the points paying positions in 10th. Caesar 1.4 seconds behind. Dean getting a little bit, Stephen getting a little bit closer to that Ferrari. Callum has definitely got that confidence boost from having that race win last weekend. Up at the top of the race, they've got a point racing in front of them. That would be the point racing of Lee. This will put him 3 laps down. Can Stephen get that run? And I'm being joined by Kenzie Retro.
Yes, I am back on commentary, ladies and gentlemen. I am back, ladies and gentlemen.
Kenzie.
Don't worry. Hello, Ivan. I have literally just got back from my friend's wedding. Fantastic day all round.
Oh, very good to hear. While you've just joined us, we've had quite an interesting one. It was a dry quali. The race started out in wet and has moved over the last 10 laps onto the dry tyres.
Well, that's definitely made things very interesting, to say the least.
It has. I'm currently spectating on Stephen, who's been right at the back of Callum's Ferrari over the last 5 to 6 laps.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, Callum in the lead with Stephen in second place. Stephen goes wide on that corner, but fingers crossed he manages to pull back the deficit. Hopefully he gets within DRS range. It's fantastic to see these two back racing at the front. Not necessarily teammates per se, but man, it feels good to be seeing these guys battling once again. Yellow flags in sector 2 for whatever reason.
Could be a driver going wide.
Looks like the incident's been cleared. So we're approaching the halfway point. Yeah, for those of you who are wondering who's this guy that's just joined Ivan on commentary, Fraser McKenzie here, the commentator for the Talk of the Devil Elite League. But Ben Hazelwood's been covering that for me over the last couple of weeks. I will be back in the commentary seat for the Extreme One League tomorrow evening, 5 p.m. UK time, so adjust accordingly to your time zones. On top of that, I'm going to be racing in the Extreme 2 League tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. UK time, and we'll have Matt Dixon and Jarbe Lou commentating on that and more on the subject of Jarbe Lou. He's currently 9th at the moment, and he's made up a fair bit of progress from the start. He started 15th, but the man that's made the most progress, Matt Dixon in the Haas, started 19th and is now up into 10th.
Yes, he was up into 10th within the first 2 to 3 laps.
And of course, you've mentioned to me that we started out in wet conditions. Interestingly enough.
Yes, it was, and I mean, for the wet conditions within the quali, you had Callum setting a blistering time of a 1:16.0. Just taking pole position from Stephen, who's actually currently challenging for the first position.
And he gets past with relative ease, but Callum's not letting him get away that easily. Kyle Keegan in the Alfa Romeo, he's just come into the pits.
So it was Stephen did a 1:16.1. Which was quite a blistering lap, and then right at the end, Callum just bringing with a 1:16.0.
And as you say that, it's just come up onto my screen there that Panagiotis is out of the race. I'm not sure what would have happened there. That is a real shame. Panagiotis out of the race. I did see him start to drop down the order quite significantly, and now he's out of the race. So correct me if I'm wrong, am I right in saying that that's our 3rd retirement of the race?
Well, we started with 18 drivers, so that is the 1st retirement, yes.
First official retirement of the day. First official retirement of the day, that is a shame. Despite the pit stop, Kyle Keegan, he's right up on the back of Kieran in the Red Bull, battling for 4th place at the moment. Now this race result, folks, could prove pivotal over the next couple of weeks as we head into our 2nd transfer window before we head to Belgium for round 12 of the championship, as Kyle tries to have a look into turn 1, but he's not quite close enough on this occasion. Goes round turn 1, heading towards turns 2 and 3, and again not quite close enough. As Dean in the pits, it's a front wing change, but it looks like it's another set of mediums to hopefully go to the end of the race, which in these conditions is a tall order.
Yeah, it will be quite a tall order.
Yeah, because the estimations, the predictions on how long the tyres would last, the mediums, they would only be good for at most 30 laps. But because of how the track's rubbering in right now, if he's careful with his tyre management, he might be able to push these tyres through to the end of the race. But realistically, he'd be looking at making another stop to go onto the softs to try and go for the fastest lap.
Yeah, that would probably be the best move from a team aspect, yes.
And Kyle Keegan, he's right on the back of Keegan once again. Kieran very aggressive, trying to defend his position. Keegan trying to go on the outside of turn 1. Right alongside. Kieran still ahead. Keegan still alongside as he goes into turn 2. Is he going to make the move stick? Oh, yes, he does. Just and no more.
And Stephen does a 121.
And that gives him the fastest lap of the race so far. That gives him the fastest lap of the race so far. That could be crucial in his championship hunt, because with Gary Braden out of the points, there's a very strong possibility that Stephen could have this championship wrapped up before the end of the season.
Well, talking about that, I was taking a look at the Constructors' Championship points. Ferrari having quite a healthy, or Mercedes having quite a healthy lead over Ferrari. Mercedes sitting at 350 at the moment, and Ferrari, 100 and almost 200 points behind them?
That's
105, 110 points. It's a healthy lead.
That is a huge deficit for Ferrari to make up in the second half of the season. Yeah, the official deficit, 155 points between Mercedes and Ferrari. Stephen, with a 74-point lead, he's got basically 3 wins in hand over Gary, with his brother Dean only a couple of points behind. Callum Harris, meanwhile, he's only 3 points behind Kieran Riddle, and as it stands, Callum could potentially force his way up into 4th, and if all going well with him, he could potentially be back in the hunt for the championship after missing a couple of races and having to do a few races at McLaren before his early transfer from McLaren to Ferrari, taking Panagiotis' seat, and Panagiotis taking Callum's seat at McLaren.
I was just wondering, would that have been a career move, or was there a gap in the market that he saw coming, and they decided, no, well, move to McLaren for those couple of races? As we take a look at Dean taking the inside on JBL, forcing him wide in corner 12. JBL have the inside light for corner 13, keeps his position, goes wide. Dean is now able to have the DRS into the main straight coming around turn 14. DRS is open.
Dean had such a good run out of the final corner, and he got past with ease.
Well, we know. Well, looking at the qualifying pace that was set by the 2 Merc drivers, that the Mercedes definitely got the straight line speed.
Indeed. And we've got the racing point of Anthony Bauer, if I'm right in saying, in 3rd.
He's having a really good race there for that racing point.
Oh, hang on, he's stuck. He was stuck in his. He was stuck in his pit. He was stuck in his pit box for a while there. He was stuck in his pit box there for a while.
Is now down into 2nd.
What on earth happened there? What on earth happened there? Well, whatever happened, it was a case of Callum Harris taking full advantage. Thank you very much. I'll have a bit of that, and he's in the lead.
Dean doing a 120.8 as the fastest lap.
Yeah, Dean getting the fastest lap there. And one thing we've got to bear in mind, Ivan, is that despite Callum being the defending champion, he hasn't won a race all season. So this could be pivotal in his hunt for defending his championship.
Well, he actually won last week's race.
I apologize. I was like, apologies for that mistake. So that would have been a great boost for him because he's
Coming into this race, yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, a great boost for him, and that all pretty much secures Callum's place in the top 5 as it stands. But it's still anyone's guess as to who's going to be. It's still anyone's guess who, if anyone, can challenge Stephen for that top spot in the championship, because there's only 24 points separating second and fifth. One race is all it's going to take to essentially flip that top 5 on its head as far as second to fifth is concerned. And Bauer's back in the pits. He's obviously sustained some front wing damage. Indeed, he has. The entire right-hand side of the front wing is gone. You'll be onto a set of mediums probably until the end of the race.
That'll definitely take him through to the end of the race.
Yeah, because again, with how well the track's rubbered in by now, he should be able to get these tyres through to the end of the race, depending on how well he manages his tyres. We've got James Dillon here in McLaren, ready to change onto another set of softs. He'll realistically need to make another stop. But we'll wait and see what happens. But Gary Braden, meanwhile, he's a man on a mission. 19 laps on those hard tyres, and he's on the verge of being in the points. He'll definitely be out with a points proof to try and minimise the damage that Stephen could potentially cause in the championship.
Well, yes, and the fact that he's had quite a tough race, a first lap incident forcing him to come in and go onto those hard tyres, and then he had another incident with one of the Renaults. I think it was the Renault of John Taylor, which involved a bit of a spin.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the fallout from that will play out.
Sorry, I stand under correction. It was a collision with the McLaren of Jamie, of Panigliotis. Sorry.
Yeah, and I say Gary on top of Caesar. They're the two drivers that have made the most stops out of everybody today. They've both made 5 stops. But JBL in the Alfa Romeo, what an incredible race he's having. Started 15th, he's now 6th, and he's 9.5 seconds behind Dean, and could potentially challenge him in the next few laps if he's lucky.
Well, Dean being on the newer tyre, Dean's tyres are essentially six laps younger than JBL's.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Dean might actually have a bit more tyre life within it.
Yeah, and as you say that, the gap between Dean and JBL is definitely starting to go up. It's now nearly 10.5 seconds now between the two. So with the second transfer window on the horizon, do you think we're going to have any big moves heading into Belgium in a couple of weeks?
Well, personally, I mean, with certain drivers like Anthony Waddington definitely proving himself within the Williams over the last couple of races, keeping that car within the points, having good results. So I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony gets snatched up by a middle order team. Another person to be looking out for is from my point of view, is Kyle. He's also been doing very well. I mean, he's up into third place with that Alpha at the moment.
Yeah, Kyle Keegan, and in the Drivers' Championship, Kyle Keegan currently 6th in the championship with 59 points. Waddington, 9th with 28. But I've got to go back to Waddington. It's very rare that we see a show of sportsmanship between two drivers. But Anthony Waddington showed us that side of sportsmanship. Very well played from him in Baku, because of the technical issues that Callum had towards the end of the race. Waddington slowing down to let Callum take second place in that race on the day.
Well, Anthony's known as the sportsman. He's definitely well respected within his two respective leagues that he races with within the Talk of the Devil name. And you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you've got a team like McLaren grabbing a driver of his caliber and his stature within the team. It'll be good for the team. It'll be good morale. It'll also be constant points for them, because at the moment you've got Panagliotis out. He's been struggling to find his feet within McLaren, and the sister McLaren running in 12th, not really showing the true form of McLaren.
Indeed, but with Waddington, he's currently leading the X1 championship, only by 3 points though, but he has definitely shown that he definitely has the ability to be able to get a race-winning car underneath him. He just needs to get the right transfer at the right time to be able to pull that off.
This is something that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing over the next couple of transfers. Talking about the knockout challenge, when are the commentators going to have their knockout challenge?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I'm sure that if I put a word in with Gregor, I'm sure we can get something arranged for either this week or the following week.
Well, this week I'm all ready and happy to take on my fellow commentator, Kenzie Retro. I'd love to actually see him in the driver's seat for a change.
Well, there you go. Well, there you go, folks. The gauntlet's been thrown down. Gregor, I hope you're watching this, because this could be a good battle.
Very interesting. It's going to be essentially elite versus Talk of the Devil. Commentator versus commentator. Oh, this is going to be fun. Wednesday it is. Ladies and gentlemen, you are more than welcome to join us for that knockout stage, knockout race. I'm sure both Kenzie and I will be streaming from our respective Twitch accounts.
Yep. It's as it stands with the knockout scores, it is 5-2 to the Extreme Racing League after the after the Talk of the Devil League managed to win the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, with Dean. I'm not sure what his actual name would be. Coming in and taking that win from JBL in the knockout round. I was fortunate enough to be able to stream the last race. So if the viewers want to go check it out, you're more than welcome to check it out on our Twitch page.
Indeed. And if we're lucky, I might be able to get the race up onto our Talk of the Devil YouTube channel at some point.
Really good.
Yeah.
I have managed to edit edit the stream tonight's stream via the Twitch account. I think I might have also changed the name of the knockout stage as well, so it could be under their correct titles.
Yeah, because the thing is right now with Twitch right now, it's not changing the titles to what we want them to. We have to wait for the stream to finish before we can change the title itself. And,
Well, that's what I've noticed, because tonight when I was doing the tests, I went and typed in knockout stage to rename the knockout stage, and when I wanted to start streaming, I noticed on my Xbox it was under the title of knockout. So I've gone literally and typed in tonight's title, which is Hungary, and I seem to be streaming under that title. So we can actually change it before the actual stream.
well, yeah, that could definitely work. Yeah. But Stephen, meanwhile, he's just gone into the pits, fresh set of mediums to get him through to the end of the race. You've got to think that Callum is going to make the same move at some point in the next lap or so, because you're looking at roughly 21 seconds to make a pit stop round here to come in, change your tyres, maintain position on the track.
Well, let's just take a look here. Yeah, and Callum's in the pits right now.
As we say that, Callum is indeed in the pits. The race leader is in. Now this could be a game changer if he gets a good stop here. We could be in for a thrilling climax at the end of the race. Where is Stephen now? He's coming around the final corner now. And Callum just out of the pits. Callum maintains the lead. What's the gap going to be down to? The gap is down to 6 seconds. Now on paper that's definitely doable, but Stephen definitely a man on a mission. And Dean again, fastest lap of the race, 1:20.237.
He's definitely setting, and those are on the medium tires.
Indeed, and it looks like he'll be going to the end of the race on those mediums.
Gary Braden having to pit for a set of mediums. That'll also take him through all the way to the end. And he is currently sitting in 13th.
Which also happens to be the car number that he's bearing, no less.
So it's something that we don't really do in South Africa. Well, I like not where I've been staying, but this Halloween concept is completely a new aspect for me. I mean, I've seen it on American television and goodies like that, but I didn't expect it being such a thing in this country. So next weekend will essentially, is it this weekend or next weekend, that is essentially the Halloween special?
Next weekend is going to be when we're going to have the Halloween celebration, because Halloween officially falls on the Thursday this year, which would also happen to be the same day as the Online Racing League of South Africa that would be taking place.
Yes, I have actually been talking to a couple of the drivers and seeing if we're going to be running, I don't know, like a black helmet or red helmets or some just a different helmet, just to celebrate the dark,
Something
dark aspect of the day.
Something Halloween related, yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be quite interesting to see if we can get that going. Callum doing a 1:19.8. Where does he pull that out of?
Well, granted, his tyres are very fresh, but so are Dean's. Meanwhile, Dean's only about 3/10 behind Boddington. in Williams. If Dean can get a good run out here, just like he did with JBL earlier, if he can get a good run out of this final corner, Waddington's not going to have a chance. There he goes. Look how close he is. There he goes. Makes the move. Is he going to make it stick? He's going to be on the outside, though. But he does indeed make it stick. Dean up into 7th. He is a man on a mission here.
And obviously they'll have the DRS coming into the second zone.
Yep.
So they'll just give him that extra boost just to open up that gap.
Yeah, he's almost pulled out to a second lead already. There we go. He's a second ahead of Waddington already. Callum, meanwhile, he's starting to increase the gap between him and Stephen. The gap's now up to 7 seconds. And you've got to think that Callum, we've seen it so often throughout his career here, that his performances have been very consistent and that he's very good with his time management at the same time, and that's what's made him the defending champion.
Well, you know, being in a car like Ferrari, it's got to be a little bit easier to manage those tires.
Absolutely. 20 laps to go now. Let's just recap the order. Callum in the lead, Stephen second, Kieran third, Kyle Keegan fourth, Anthony Bauer fifth, JBL sixth, Dean seventh, Waddington eighth, Matt Dixon ninth, Joe Newman rounding up the top 10. Then you've got James Dillon, Caesar, Gary, Jorge, John Taylor, Gareth, and Lee Edwards, who is 3 laps behind the next driver, 5 laps behind altogether. What on earth happened to Lee?
He actually hasn't been part of my feed for quite a lot of this, as we actually catch the race leader lapping him once again.
Yeah, I think it might be a case that he's got technical issues to deal with. It's not the first time we've seen people having to deal with technical issues throughout this season. I wouldn't be too surprised if we still have these technical issues right through to the end of the season.
Well, I'm just hoping that 2019 doesn't end up going the same way as the last game did, where there were so many issues with the online lobbies that everybody was actually looking forward to the new game coming out purely for that reason.
Well, with how many patches we've had over the last 4 months since the game came out, and yet we're still having these issues. Surely at this point the priority should be fixing the online servers. I mean, they've managed to do some fixing to the online system where it should be easier in theory to get the ranking points you need to be able to achieve master rank. A few drivers in the game have actually managed to do that, including a couple of YouTubers that I regularly watch, including Tiamat Marduk or Benjamin Daly, to give him his actual name. He managed to achieve master rank a few weeks ago.
Wow. That's patience and hours and hours and hours of racing with a whole bunch of newbies, Ben.
Yeah. I mean, I take my hat off to him for his persistence and dedication. JBL in the pits now. With how much time he's got left, he's probably gonna have a crack on the softs. No, he goes for the mediums through to the end of the race. That's an interesting move.
That is a very interesting call.
I mean, he'll definitely get to the end of the race on those, so he can afford to push harder on those mediums to try and go for the fastest lap, but he might know something we don't.
Well, he has relegated Anthony Waddington up into 7th.
Yes, and Gary Braden, meanwhile, he's
And
battling Caesar for 12th place. He's got the drive. He can't quite get past just yet. This will be a good battle there for the next little while.
well, I'm currently spectating on Gary Braden.
Yeah, I think Gary's starting to weave through that middle section of the track. So fans have often called Hungary Monaco without the barriers because of how difficult it is to overtake you. Because it's just one corner after another, and then the only bit of reprieve, if that's what you want to call it, that you get around this track is down the main straight itself.
Yeah, it's the main straight and the run down to corner 3. It's the only real places you can actually take any chances, unless you're brave and actually do it here at the chicane at the top of the track.
Absolutely. James Dillon in the pits again. He'll have reached the end of his lifespan on his soft tyres. 14 laps, he'll have done well with that. But Matt Dixon, credit where it's due, 33 laps on those mediums.
Well, he's going to be pushing it straight. I don't know. You know, everyone's starting on the wet tires. Will essentially have the set of softs that they qualified on, and the extra set of mediums. So, you know, I think he might actually have a set of softs lying in the background to literally go pushing the last call it 14, 15 laps. Gary Braden
Caesar. Caesar's hit the wall, battling with Gary. Gary managed to get past, but Caesar ending up in the wall. That's front wing damage. He'll need to change that front wing for sure.
Oh, that is such a hard one for Caesar.
A majority of the right-hand side of his front wing is just gone completely. It's only like the flat part of the front wing that's left. Not what Caesar would have wanted. It's Callum up front, meanwhile, he's managed to get that gap to 12 seconds between him and Stephen, and Caesar, interestingly, stays out. Now, why he would do that is beyond me, because...
Well, that's the thing. It is on the right-hand side of the car, so if he was accelerating too hard, the car would have been pulling to the left.
Absolutely. But like I said, why
he could have actually missed.
Why he would elect to stay out is beyond me. But you've got to bear in mind, last year at Hungary, Matt Ashman had a similar issue. He ended up with front wing damage, and he ended up staying out, and that ended up coming back to bite him, and he ended up in the wall and out of the race.
It'll be very interesting to see how Caesar deals with that car.
So we've
over the
got
next couple of laps.
Yeah, we've got to hope at this point that Caesar doesn't have a repeat of what happened with Matt Ashman. You see, he's going wide a majority of the corners, and some of the right-handers. There you go. He goes wide again. Some of the right-handers, he's having to take it very gingerly to prevent him from going into the barriers. And in a way, I don't blame him. Surely, common sense man would have said, come into the pits at the end of the lap.
Well, I'm currently spectating on him now with a view from on top of his helmet.
And there he goes.
Yeah,
he does
he's
come
pulling
in.
into the pits now.
He's pulling in.
There we go.
And with the number of laps that are left, he'll have enough. He'll have enough in the tank to be able to go for the soft tires, because he could at least go for the fastest lap.
He does put out a set of mediums.
Another set of mediums. He must have run out of softs. So everyone apart from Lee is running on the medium tires. The gap between
So
Callum and
14th and 15th are basically on the freshest tires at the moment.
Yeah, 14 laps to go, and with how much time that's left for at the end of to the end of the race, the gap between Callum and Stephen 13 seconds. Unless Callum makes a huge mistake, he's gonna take his second win of the season, and that'll put him one step closer towards potentially getting his second championship.
Currently watching Dean. He's on the charge against Anthony in 5th.
Oh, and Anthony locks up. Dean has to look at him outside of the final corner. And just like with JBL, there we go. DRS wide open. Anthony's got no chance. There we go. Dean up into 5th. Now he's half a minute behind Kyle Keegan, who's in 4th. And with the number of laps that are left, it would be a tall order to try and get into 4th place. But you never know.
These Mercedes drivers have a way of pulling something out of the bag.
Indeed, they do. So, yeah, moving away from Formula One for a moment. It's been a very interesting. It was a great day for the Rugby World Cup. England beating Australia in convincing fashion. Same with New Zealand against Ireland. So the first semi-final, which will take place next week, it is England versus New Zealand, and then
Ooh, that's going to be a tough one
for England, especially. But you never know.
Yes. You never know. I mean, they took the Aussies out. I mean, I've been saying to mates here in the UK that I think might actually be a Northern Hemisphere Cup this year.
Yeah, and Gareth Lambourne's out of the race. It's our second retirement of the day. A real shame. Didn't have the best of qualifying sessions, and that's a retirement on the tally for him. Not what he would have wanted. That could be pivotal in his. That could be pivotal in the transfer window.
That could be the defining moment. So Gary is chasing down Joe Newman for that last points paying position in 10th. He is 3 seconds down the road though.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the fastest laps right now. The fastest lap outside the top 10 is, of course, Gary Bradham with a 120.817. The closest to that is James Dillon at 121.5. Then you've got Caesar 121.7. If Gary can get into the top 10, but that's not going to be happening anytime soon because James just got past Gary. If Gary can get himself into the top 10, it would be Caesar. As I say that, Caesar's just improved a 120.208. So he now has the fastest lap of the race outside the top 10. And it's only the podium that's on lead lap. But Kieran is potentially on the verge of being lapped.
Where is the race leader code? Oh, he is just down the road.
We're on board with him right now. He's got a Haas behind him. He's got a Haas in front of him. It's Matt Dixon. Matt Dixon spins. And Joe Newman up into 9th takes full advantage. Newman coming into final sequence, and just in shot there. I just saw the Ferrari of Callum just behind him, and as I say that, Gary Brennan out of the race.
Where is that?
It's in sector 2.
That is
there we go.
Right-handed just before the top of the hill at the chicane.
That is the same place that Matt Ashman put it in the wall last year. A little bit of deja vu for Ferrari there. They will not be happy with that one. And that is
Brennan's race going from worse to horrible.
That is another dent in Ferrari's hunt for the Constructors' Championship, and for Gary to try and get the championship. And as it stands, with Callum winning the race, he'll end up leapfrogging Gary into 3rd place in the championship.
Wow. It's going to be a hunt right down to the end of the season, hopefully. Keep this championship dream alive.
Yeah, what a comeback it would be for Callum. JBL battling with Anthony Bauer for 7th place. Bauer's just made a pit stop. They're both still side by side. JBL goes wide.
Very aggressively comes back onto the track though.
He goes wide again. Bauer getting back ahead. And now he's got daylight between him and JBL.
Matt Dixon and James having a really good battle here. James going very wide in turn 1.
Yeah, James will be after that last point paying position. Because he's only right behind Matt Dixon. And you've got to think with how long Matt's been on his tyres.
And he spins it.
Same place Matt spun it earlier. That gives Matt a bit of breathing space. That gives Matt a bit of breathing space. He'll be very relieved with that one. Because that was the same place that Matt Dixon spun it earlier. Bauer, meanwhile, further ahead, battling Waddington for 6th place. Look how close he is. He's going to have a lunge. And almost contact. Waddington shuts the door on him. You've got to be careful with that curb. Because we've seen it catch a couple of people out already. And Waddington forcing Bauer off the track. Very aggressive there from Bauer.
I think Anthony Warrington just showing the youngster who's the boss at the moment. Anthony, I mean, the two Anthonys really going at one another.
Indeed. Now, if Bauer can get a good run out of this final corner, he could have DRS. He will have DRS. He could have a good lunge into turn 1. Here he goes. Is he going to get past? Still side by side with Waddington. He's going to have DRS again, heading into turn 3. And he makes it. Some great battles between...
Brilliant driving there by the young driver.
Great battles in the midfield. Absolutely fantastic racing here in the midfield. We've got we're on lap 64. There's 6 laps to go after this. You've got to think with Bauer being on the soft tyres, you've got to think, is he going to have a crack at the fastest lap?
Well, it wouldn't be a bad idea. But I don't know if he's got enough ERS to actually pull that off.
Well, he's charging up the ERS right now, and Matt Dixon, after 44 laps on those medium tyres, he's got a set of softs. Now he goes. He's going to have a... Matt Dixon looks like he's going to have a crack at the fastest lap. Dean in the pit, he's going for the softs as well. Looks like those that are coming in for soft tyres, they are going to have a crack at the fastest lap. Yellow flags in sectors 2 and 3, and Matt Dixon spins again! Same corner he spun out earlier, and oh, contact with the racing point! How much damage has that caused? That's caused a lot of damage to the racing point. Was that Lee? It was Lee. But Lee's pretty much out of contention at this point, so not overly concerned. Kieran has now been lapped. So it's just Callum and Stephen, former teammates, now rivals at opposite teams. Stephen started at Ferrari last season. Callum started at Mercedes. They both swapped. And here we are. How the tables have turned.
Still up there, still challenging for those wins.
Indeed. JBL battling Waddington for 7th place. JBL still battling Waddington. And
JBL spins it.
We had another spin.
Right.
But he quickly reset to the track to minimize the amount of time he lost. There we go. There's the Ferrari of Callum. It's coming into shot there. We saw the Red Bull of I'm pretty sure that was Kieran. We passed earlier, and I was seeing Matt Dixon going for the fastest lap, and there it is. Dean responds with the fastest lap, 1:18.3.
Wow. And you know Dean will go out and do it again. He's been doing that and proving that he's got the pace.
Absolutely. 3 laps to go after this. Callum's still leading. He's got a pit stop in hand over Stephen. And, there's JBL just slowing down to let Callum past. I mean, this is the closest we've seen anyone get to lapping the entire field. Because with season 1 last year, Gary Braden lapped the entire field in Singapore while starting on pole position, and on top of that, Matthew Bowclough in the Academy race at the start of the season, he lapped the entire field, and well, granted there wasn't that many competitors on the day, but he lapped the entire field and went on to win the race.
And Callum comes into the pits.
Callum's in the pits. Now this is interesting. Why would he come into the pits at this late stage in the game?
He's definitely after that fastest lap. He's proving that the Ferrari's got the pace. He's been top of the charts at Q1, Q2 and Q3.
So he started on pole. He'll be looking for the Grand Slam here. And Stephen in the pits as a response. That's interesting. Callum and Stephen in the pits at exactly the same time. Callum
the fastest lap at the moment is a 1:18.3.
And with the pace that Callum's shown, his fastest lap's a 1:19.8. He'll definitely be able to improve on that. There's no question.
Provided he doesn't get involved with any traffic on the last lap.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't. It'd be a real shame if he did.
He's got full ERS. He's going to be putting a blinder of a fast lap.
He'll definitely be saving that for the last lap. I'm pretty sure Stephen will be following suit. Stephen about half a minute behind. Nevertheless, here we go. Callum's turned it up to the max. But while this is happening, driver of the day, Ivan?
Driver of the day. I'm going to have to give it to Matt Dixon. I mean, he came from last place. He's up into 11th. He's had a decent race. If it's not going to be Matt Dixon, then I'll probably give it to Dean for also coming through and showing that he can get that McLaren back up into the top 5. I mean that Mercedes.
Yeah, if it were up to me, I'd probably have to agree with you. Probably either Matt Dixon or even JBL for driver of the day. But here comes Callum Harrod round the final corner. What's his lap time going to be? 1:17!
1:17. Wow!
Where did he pull that from? Stephen, but nevertheless, Callum Harrod, his second win of the season. He wins the Hungarian Grand Prix, and that will give him a huge boost heading into the transfer window. But I don't think he'll be going anywhere. He'll be determined to go for that second, he'll be definitely after that second title. What's Stephen going to pull out here? He just nicks it! Stephen just nicked it on the line!
A 1:17.883. What? What?
Less than 200ths of a second!
That's...
Absolutely brilliant.
That is... And he was still coming around the final bend on the outside of a Red Bull.
As far as the fastest lap was concerned, his response to Callum, anything you can do, I can do better.
Well, there we go. Kieran coming in third place.
He'll be very happy with that performance.
I shall get the top three into our lobby, Kenzie. And
Yep.
you're more than welcome to take over the post-race interviews.
I would be honoured to do that. There's Callum. Very happy man today. Second win in a row.
Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull. Once again, the top three teams showing that what they're made of.
As is so often the case. Oh, and would you believe it? It starts raining after the race as well.
So, just to confirm, the top 10 spots is Callum, Stephen, Kieran, Kyle, Dean, Anthony Warrington, JBL, James, and Joe Newman.
Then the rest of the field, it's Matt Dixon. There's Matt Dixon, John Taylor, Caesar, Jorge, and Lee, and non-finishers Gary, Gareth, and Panagiotis.
My batteries might die.
Ah.
Thanks, man. Good race.
Yeah, I couldn't wait
You
to
have
catch
the
you.
top three within the party chat. Gentlemen, congratulations. Well done to the top three. Just in order, that would be Callum in first, Stephen in second, and Kieran in third. Kenzie, over to you.
Thanks very much, Ivan. Let's start off with the winner, as always, Callum. Second win in a row, your second win of the season. That's definitely gonna be starting to ring some alarm bells for the rest of the field that you're not giving up your title defense without a fight at this point.
Yeah, I think the title race is pretty much over for me, to be honest with you. But no, I'm enjoying my racing, and hopefully, come next season, you know, I'll be showing these boys how a championship's won.
Yeah, indeed. It was a very consistent weekend, from what I heard. That you topped all three parts of qualifying and then going on to win the race.
Yeah, to be honest, I normally struggle at this track, so it was a bit of a shock really that I managed to sort of get the pace. And then when I saw that it was raining in the race, I was buzzing because I'm quite quick in the rain, quite confident in the rain. So yeah, I was happy about that, to be honest. But no, I'm happy overall. I mean, the second stint, I was tyre saving and fuel saving quite a bit, and that allowed obviously Steve to get past me. And then he made a mistake, spun it round, as did I a few laps beforehand. So 1 for 1 there. But no, it's a really good race. But I do just want to say that that's for Greg. He's going for a real difficult time at the moment, him and his family. So I don't know whether he's listening, but shout out to Greg. We're all thinking of you, and we all wish you the best, mate.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep him. We'll definitely keep him in our thoughts over the course of the transfer window. Hopefully, we'll see him back in action at some point. So yeah, now with the transfer window now upon us, any predictions on where you on any potential moves over the course of the transfer window now as we head into Belgium?
I think there's a couple of people that have got a good chance of moving teams. I mean, Kyle down in that Alpha, he's a good racer. He deserves a better car, so I reckon he'll be moving up the ranks. Kieran, he's been doing really well. He's already in one of the top 3 teams, but I'm sure that he'll be fighting for a Ferrari or Mercedes seat, if not this transfer window come the end of the season. But yeah, I think transfer windows have the unique element because of our managers. Anything can happen. So yeah, let's wait and see.
Yeah, so Callum, thanks very much for your time, and again, congratulations on your win.
Cheers.
Stephen, second place, and you just nicked the fastest lap right at the end.
Yeah, it was. I seen Callum in pits, and I was like, it was just split-second decision. It's like I could have gone round. I didn't know how long pits were, so I had no one talking down my ear either because I had microphone issues. So I didn't know how long pits were to whether I'd get out in front of him for the last lap. So I just boxed, went for the extra point.
It was a tight one though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty
Yeah,
close.
yeah, less than 200ths between you two on that fastest lap.
Yeah, it was very close. To be honest, it was a bit of a boring race for me. That was the most dangerous overtake I've done in a while.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether you actually passed me on or off track there.
I was past you on the outside before the turn, mate. Don't you worry about that one. But then I had to leave your space, so I had to run a little bit wide. If I'd have tried to stay on track, I could have ended both races, and it had just been a shit result for both of us. So I believe I was past you before the left apex. I left the room on the
good.
outside,
It was good racing,
so
mate. Honestly, it was great racing.
It was good fun at that point because I was chasing him down and I had the speed and I started to pull away a little bit and I had the speed and I knew I was going to clip it at some point. It was always I don't think I've had a race where I've not spun at Hungary, so it was going to happen. I take it. I thought I could have caught him a little bit, but then I'm sick of people leaving the race and leaving their car on track. It's ridiculous. I'm going second to last corner. I can't do anything apart from go on the racing line, and Lee's car's just on the racing line. Okay, that's cool, but it just stops dead. It just stops dead, and it just infuriated me. I was like, I've then got a yellow wing. I'm struggling to do most of the corners because they are hard corners around there. You know, second middle sector. It's insane. Trying to go around there now, I'm just going wide all the time. Like, it looks like I'm trying to gain time on Callum, but I wasn't. I just couldn't get round. It just annoyed me that, and then I was just settling for second place, and that was about it. Go for the extra point.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason the fans call it Monaco without the barriers.
Yeah, it was good fun. I enjoyed it. Not very entertaining on my part, apart from the middle stint where I was chasing Callum. We had a bit of good racing. To be fair, I struggled to catch him. His traction out of the last corner was insane. So I struggled to catch him all the way down there, but I seemed to catch him every time where I overtook him. And the exit I got from turn 1, 2, 3 was insane. Like I just seen it and I was like, everything, power up, go for it, I'm going for it.
I turned everything up coming out of that last corner, every single lap when you were behind me.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed that. It's a good win for Callum. I know he said his title race is over, but you never know. He needs to keep fighting. I think he's got a good chance. We're only halfway through, just over. And Kieran, again, on podium. I don't think I've missed a podium yet, as far yet. But I think we're all in for a good run in, to be honest. Dean's had 2 unlucky races. Gary, I feel unlucky for him because I went in, put my meter, look behind me, and he's on inters. So we had to do another lap and go round again.
Mate,
I feel sorry for the guy, but do you know what I mean?
Tonight.
I feel sorry for him, but like it's still up there with short chat title. He just needs to pull it together next second half of the season. So it's a good race and well done all.
Yeah, well, it's great to see that despite the shock early transfer that I reported on, it's great to see that this pretty much confirms that there's no animosity between former teammates, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, I love Steve. You never know, we may be teammates again in the future.
Oh, that's
Who
it.
knows?
You never know. We'll see.
Yeah.
It was a good fun race with Callum, to be honest, and again today. So we're good racers, so it's good. It's good fun.
Yeah. So Stephen, thanks very much for your time, and well done again on your second place.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. And we'll just double check if Kieran, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Excellent. Third place. Great result for you today. That'll definitely help you in the championship, getting a podium spot in the championship.
Yeah, it really is going to help. I just want to get as many points as I can. My goal of the day was to try and beat Callum, but it's quite hard to beat him because he's in a faster car than me, and him himself is quicker than me. And I made too many mistakes in the race. Like, I spun going through I'm not sure what turn it was, but it was a fast left-hander and had a very bad wing. But I'm surprised I got onto the podium because, yeah, I was too far back, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to get a podium. But I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and yeah, trying to do my best.
So yeah, overall, how do you feel the race went from your perspective?
It went all right. There was, again, too many mistakes. Like the pit, I set it to mediums, but it put me on softs anyway, twice. That set me back tons of time. And yeah, I wish it did go much better.
Yeah. So, and like I was saying to Callum earlier, how do you feel? Any predictions on what you think will happen as far as the transfer window is concerned?
Well, I will try and go for the Ferrari, but it's probably not going to happen. But worst comes to worst, I can hopefully stay in the Red Bull.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed that happens. So yeah, thanks very much for your time, Kieran, and well done again on your third place.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Well done to the top three.
Cheers, everyone.
So there we go. That's another race out of the way, and now we've got the transfer window to take care of.
That should be throwing a good couple of things in the works. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to myself, Tamer Curved, Ivan, and my co-commentator Kenzie, who's joined me for a good 30 laps of the race and jumped into the commentary position with me. We will see you at the next race, which is in Belgium.
Yep, and you'll be hearing from me on commentary tomorrow for the Extreme 1 League at Hungary, 5 p.m. UK time, and I'll be racing in the Extreme 2 League after that at 8 p.m. UK time.
Can catch myself Tamer in the Extreme 1 League event as well.
Yeah, so until then, we'll see you guys again soon. It's a good night. Thanks for watching.
Good night.